The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad the Sailor. In adhering to my vow never again to fare forth from my native land in search of strange wonders at the risk of deadly peril, I was contented and happy in my state. While I was sitting one day thinking on this and saying within myself,
I am here in the abode of peace, and Allah be praised. I shall never quit it for the haunts of trouble.
lo, there came a messenger summoning me to the Caliph. I arose and followed him, and presently I was before His Majesty, saluting him and kissing the ground.
Welcome, O Sinbad.
He said,
Know that I have a matter of importance for thee to execute. Sire,
I answered.
I am thy slave.
Then the Caliph unfolded to me his wish, which was that I should go to the king of Sarandib bearing a letter and a gift.
By Allah,
I cried when I heard this.
O my lord, be not displeased, but have I not already taken a vow that I will not go forth again upon the sea lest I suffer worse things than have already befallen me? The bare mention of a voyage causes my knees to shake.
And I repeated to him the terrible sufferings and perils I had encountered in my travels, whereupon the Caliph raised his hands and said no man had endured worse things.
Nevertheless,
He added, smiling upon me,
thou wilt go forth once more, for my sake, and thou wilt bear my letter and gift to the king of Sarandib.
It was not for me to disobey the command of the Prince of the Faithful, and I bowed my head in submission. I took from his hands the account of the items composing the gift, together with a letter and a sum of money for my expenses, and, bidding him farewell, went forth, saying to myself that fate was against me. The Caliph's gift to the king of Sarandib was one of great magnificence. First there was a splendid white horse, the equal of which was not to be found in the length and breadth of Arabia. Its saddle and trappings were adorned with gold and set with brilliant jewels. Then, in addition to this, there were a priceless robe, fit for the king of all the earth, a great quantity of rich stuffs from Egypt and Greece, and a wonderful crystal goblet of such a kind that a man's whole lifetime would be required to make it. And the Caliph's letter ran as follows.
Peace be on thee from the king Rashid, highest in any land but thine, under God, whose name be exalted. We rejoiced greatly at thy letter and we have sent thee some royal trifles, thy gracious acceptance of which will give us joy and happiness. Peace be with thee.
With all these things I embarked upon a large vessel, and set sail from El Basra, with a company of merchants. We journeyed for long days and nights until at length we came to the island of Sarandib. There I went into the king in his palace, and he gave me a joyous welcome.
By Allah,
He said,
we have often thought of thee, O Sinbad, and now we rejoice to see thy face again.
Then he bade me sit beside him, and asked with courtesy the reason of my visit. I informed him and told him of the Caliph's gift, handing him the letter. When he had read it he was overjoyed, and when at length he saw the gift and the richness of it, he marveled greatly and conferred upon me all the honors befitting the ambassador of the Prince of the Faithful. After some days of pleasure and happiness in his land, I made known to him my desire to depart speedily to my own country, but it was with difficulty that I obtained his permission. At last he allowed me to go, bearing friendly messages to the Caliph, and I set sail for my own land, glad that I was now free to return to the life to which I had vowed myself. But, O Sinbad the landsman, the chances of long voyages upon the sea are such as thou knowest not of. We had not been many days on our course when, as we were passing near an island, a fleet of boats put off from the shore and surrounded us. They were manned by a host of men clad in suits of mail. They looked more like demons than men, and were armed with swords and daggers. They drew in on us and attacked us, slaying those who offered resistance, and taking the rest prisoners. They towed the ship to the island and took all the merchandise in the hold. Then they led us away to be sold as slaves. It fell to my lot that I was purchased by a rich man of gentle mien. He took me to his house, gave me food and drink, clothed me well and treated me in a friendly fashion. Somewhat comforted I rested, giving my hands to light tasks about his house. After some days he called me to him and said,
Art thou skilled in any art or trade?
I answered him that I was a merchant, and was skilled only in the art of buying and selling.
Canst thou not use the bow?
He asked. Now, I was skilled in archery, and I offered to give him proof in the matter. He then placed a bow and arrow in my hands, and I pierced a mark at 50 paces.
It is well.
He said,
Thou art skilled.
The next day he sat me behind him on an elephant, and at nightfall, we journeyed to a place where there were some high trees. One of these he bade me climb, and sit there with arrow on bowstring till the elephants came at dawn, when I was to shoot, and if I was so fortunate as to kill one, I was to run to him in all haste and inform him of it. He then went away on his elephant, leaving me in the tree, full of terror. When at last the sun rose, a great number of elephants came straying about among the trees, and when one came beneath mine I sent my arrows at him. Late in the morning a well-aimed shaft pierced the brain of a monstrous beast, and with loud roarings, he fell and died. At evening time, when the other elephants had retired from the spot, I descended from the tree and ran with all haste to my master, who rejoiced at my news and sent his slaves to bring the beast in. Day after day I continued at this sport, each day securing at least one elephant. But a day came when trouble gathered round that tree in which I sat a day. It appeared in the form of countless elephants of large size and ferocious aspect. One who seemed to be king among them led the others to my tree. After he had thundered round it many times until the whole world trembled, he made a dash at it, and winding his trunk round it, tore it up by the roots and threw it down. When, half stunned, I found my way out from among the broken branches, the great elephant came upon me bellowing loudly, and seizing me with his trunk, bore me aloft. In this manner, he led the whole herd of elephants in a wild stampede that made the earth shake, and they ceased not in their career until they came to a valley in which were a great number of elephants' bones and teeth and tusks. On a heap of these the king elephant set me down very gently, and after that, he and the others turned and walked away, leaving me there. I looked about in the valley and saw a wealth of gleaming white tusks on every hand, and I said within myself,
The elephants like not the death of one of their number every day, and they have done this to show how I may come by an abundance of tusks without further slaughter.
Then I found my way back over a great distance to the abode of my master. He welcomed me as one returned from the dead, for, when he had found the tree torn up by the roots, he had concluded that the elephants had made an end of me. I told him what had befallen me and described the position of the valley where the tusks lay. When he heard this he was greatly excited and lost no time in mounting me behind him on an elephant, and setting forth to find the spot where so much wealth was stored. We reached the valley without mishap, and I showed my master the ivory, at sight of which his joy knew no bounds. We then laded the elephant with as much as he could carry, and returned with it to the house. This adventure of mine placed me in a most favorable light in my master's eyes, and, because I had been the means of revealing to him a source of enormous wealth, he set me free, and gave me permission to return to my own country. He was even better than his word, for, not many days later, he set me on board a vessel bound for El Basra, and presented me with a large sum of money for my passage and expenses, together with many bales of merchandise. And my return journey was very fortunate. The traffic I did at the different cities on the way brought me great profit, and I bought many rare things suitable for gifts. On my arrival at Baghdad, I went into the Caliph and told him all that had befallen me, and he was so astonished thereat, and so delighted at my return, that he commanded his scribes to write my story in letters of gold. And he said to me,
O Sinbad, my son, thou hast done well, and now thou shalt have the wish of thine heart and keep thy vow, for, unless thou so desirest, thou shalt go forth no more upon the sea.
This, O Sinbad the landsman, is the end of the story of my voyages, and now, as I have conceived an affection for thee, thou shalt dwell with me and be my boon companion, and we shall pass our lives together in a state of the utmost joy and happiness, strengthened by God.